Strawweight bout here. Bruna Brasil coming in at -150 against the debuting Shauna Bannon, sitting at +120. Over under 2.5 rounds, -275 for the over, +220 for the under. Bruna Brasil coming off the knockout loss to D Gomes, which, can I say, ages pretty decently. And she's 3-2 in her last 5. Shauna Bannon undefeated, out of Ireland. Both ladies 29 years old, and a little bit of a reach advantage for Shauna Bannon. But Bruna Brasil, like I said, coming off the knockout, lost to D Gomes, which doesn't age too bad because D Gomes just knocked out Yasmin Haragui. And we know she's got big power. But watching that fight against D Gomes, like, D Gomes, she dictated the pace the entire way. Like, she was just coming forward, and Bruna Brasil hit her with some good counter shots, but she wasn't really in control in any part of that fight. But compared to like her Contender Series fight against Marnik Mann, which was like just smooth sailing, like she could just sit at kicking range and kick her. This one against Shauna Bannon. Shauna Bannon is like pretty much your all-around type fighter. She's got some good kickboxing. She's got a kickboxing background. But if you watch a lot of her fights, she mixes it in pretty well. She'll, get the body lock and look for a trip into a takedown. She's got some pretty good top control from the top position, decent ground and pound. 3 wins by decision. She hasn't had a finish since last June. I mean, she's had 5 fights since April of 2022. So she's only been pro for a little over a year. But she's coming in here against Bruna Brasil, who's only lost by knockout. And do you think Shauna Bannon's going to knock her out? I'm not sure. But I think this one is like your classic women's MMA fight. Like, you got 2 pretty all-around fighters. They both like to mix it up. I don't know. It's like who dictates the pace better. And I looking at Bruna Brasil in her last fight, she didn't dictate it at all. So
right.
I don't. It's not very. It's not encouraging to like get behind as a better. Shauna Bannon, don't like betting on debuters, but she is undefeated. It's plus money. It's women's MMA. Doesn't look too bad. And she's fighting in the UK. So I'm gonna go with Shauna Bannon, but it's a greasy spot here. I wouldn't get too invested either way. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I wouldn't get too invested either way in this one either. We were both there when Bruna Brasil lost to Denise Gomes. And, she didn't look great in that fight. Like you said, had problems dictating the pace. I think Denise Gomes, so aggressive, just marched her down and came forward and brought the fight to her. But I think that's the type of fight where Bruna Brasil can learn from too. And you're fighting Shauna Bannon, and Bannon, where was it? Where was I reading? She obviously in a professional career is undefeated, but if you look at the girl she's beaten, man, 6-4 in her last win. The girl before that was 1-2. Before that, 3-0, 3-0, 1-1. Like, she's not fighting anybody, like anybody. Trash opponents.
Yeah.
And this is exactly the type of fight where people are going to be, want to see this chick come in here and win. People are going to lay their money on her because she's looked good against these lower level opponents. And then she goes out there and she's another, girl who just gets beaten by somebody who has a little bit more experience than her. I mean, we see it time and time again in women's MMA. I think it could happen here again. I think Bruna Brasil is better than her last fight. And, striking wise, she's pretty good. She showed it on the Contender Series against Marnik Mann, who, was a lot smaller than her and not the best fighter in the world. But I just think she's got a shot to redeem herself against a UFC newcomer here. So give me Bruna Brasil in this one.
I hate that price on Bruna Brasil. If Bruna Brasil was
betting
the underdog, I would have been all over it. But yeah, no. I'm going to stick with Shauna Bannon because I think the crowd will be on her side. It's women's MMA, man. If she gets one takedown, the crowd's going to go crazy. And you could just tell that's how it's going to play out.